A strange object appears the encounter beyond Earth. It began like any ordinary day in space. The International Space Station orbited silently, gliding above Earth at 28,000 kilometers per hour. Astronauts floated inside, conducting experiments, eating freeze-dried meals, laughing over calls with their families. Outside, everything was calm. Then something appeared. Not a shooting star, not a satellite, not space debris. It didn't tumble, it didn't spin. It hovered, slowly, smoothly, precisely. And it was caught live in the NASA livestream from the ISS external camera. Millions didn't see it, but a few did. And those few, they recorded it. The footage shows a dark, semi-reflective object moving parallel to the station, not behind, not in front, alongside. It doesn't blink, it doesn't fade, it just follows. And that's when the internet exploded. What the hell is that thing? That was the top comment on the archived footage posted on YouTube just hours later. And then another, and another. Is NASA being watched? Why is it moving like that? Looks too symmetrical for debris. Some tried to debunk it. They said it was ice crystals or lens flare or a reflection. But here's the problem. It moved, and not randomly. It mimicked the ISS, frame by frame, side by side, locked in position. Some analysts claim the object appeared in over 4 different camera angles throughout the day. The distance, hard to tell, but it didn't look far. A few meters, a few kilometers. Whatever it was, it stayed. 7 days of silence. From July 3rd to July 9th, the object returned. Different angles, different lighting, but same behavior. It hovered, it watched, it followed. No one from NASA addressed it. No press release, no official statement. The object never appeared on official telemetry data. No mention in public mission logs. Yet the video evidence kept surfacing. Clips recorded by amateur space watchers, UFO researchers, curious internet sleuths. They pieced it together. Day 1. Object spotted at 3:47 UTC, approaching from lower left. Day 2. Seen again at 11:22 UTC, remaining stationary for 23 minutes. Day 3. Slight rotation observed. Shape appears triangular, under light. Day 46. The object phases in and out of visibility, but always at the same relative distance. Day 7. The closest visual yet, and then the feed cuts out. Coincidence or cover-up? NASA blamed a technical glitch. It happens, they said. Temporary signal interference. But to the community of UFO investigators, that answer was too convenient, too clean, too practiced. Why did the feed always cut out when the object came closest? Why no backup footage? Why no response to public questions? The silence said more than words ever could. They knew what it was. That's what many began to believe. Not a malfunction, not random interference. A decision to end the broadcast, to hide what came next. Because here's what one retired aerospace engineer posted on Reddit hours after the cut. We were told to never comment on anomalies near the ISS, especially if they stay in frame too long. The protocol is switch to internal cameras, reroute feed, stay quiet. That post was deleted 6 minutes later, but not before thousands of screenshots were taken. The shape that shouldn't exist. Experts tried analyzing the footage. One clip, enhanced by AI, showed the object casting a faint shadow on the ISS solar panel arm. That's not possible for a lens flare. The object's outline, a natural, smooth edges, no visible propulsion, no antenna, no markings. Its movement, too slow for an orbital satellite, too precise for space junk, too deliberate to be natural. Could it be watching us? Theories exploded across forums and podcasts. Alien surveillance drone, sent to observe human space activity, cloaked most of the time, only visible due to ISS angle changes. Secret military tech, US, Russia, or China might be testing anti-satellite drones. Could be an unmanned recon device designed to shadow the ISS. The Black Knight satellite returns. Ancient theory claims there's a 13,000-year-old alien satellite orbiting Earth. Could this be it, reappearing, now caught on camera? Interdimensional probe? Too bizarre? Maybe. But some believe these objects phase into our reality temporarily. That's why they're only seen for short bursts and then gone. But why the ISS? That's the question that lingers. Why follow the space station? Why not Earth's surface? Why not the moon? Is it drawn to human activity in orbit? Is it scanning for something or someone? Some even speculate. Was there communication between ISS crew and the object? If there was, it never made it to the broadcast. Eyewitness, a whisper from the inside. 2 days after the incident, a cryptic message appeared on X, formerly Twitter. We were told to look away. It wasn't a satellite. The account, an anonymous user claiming to be a technician from a ground station linked to NASA. They never posted again, but the message was retweeted over 50,000 times. And the words echoed. We were told to look away. Imagine you saw it too. Put yourself there, floating above Earth. Nothing but silence, metal, and blackness. Then suddenly, a shape, a shadow, watching you. No radio signal, no sound, no instructions from mission control. Just you and it. Would you be scared, curious? Would you try to speak to it, or pretend you never saw it? Why hasn't NASA explained? That's the biggest mystery. They had the footage, the data, the evidence, and yet, nothing. In an era where even Mars rovers tweet selfies, why is this so quiet? Could it be that the truth isn't out there, but already here, orbiting above us, watching, waiting? And maybe NASA knows that. Maybe that's why they cut the feed. And now the world is watching. This event sparked renewed demand for UFO disclosure. Petitions surged. Senators asked questions. The Pentagon's UAP task force even received tips linked to the ISS footage. But still, no answers. Just more silence. And an object that may still be out there. Following. Recording. Waiting. What did the astronauts see? Why did the cameras go dark? And if it happens again, will we ever be allowed to watch? Maybe next time they won't cut the feed. 7 days of pursuit, the object follows the ISS. What if you were being watched? Not for a second, not for an hour, but for 7 days straight. What if every time you looked over your shoulder, it was still there? That's exactly what happened above our heads. And no one told us. The object didn't just appear once. It came back, night after night, day after day, and every time the ISS orbited Earth, so did it. A silent companion, a shadow in space, a presence that defied explanation. It was there for a week. That's what many UFO researchers claim. Among them was Marco L., a well-known satellite tracker from Italy. He watches ISS camera feeds daily out of habit, not fear. But this time, it was different. I saw something stationary, unusual shape, same place. I thought it was a glitch, but then I saw it again the next night, and again. By day 3, Marco had screenshots. By day 4, he had video files. He wasn't alone. Across forums like Reddit, X, formerly Twitter, and UFO databases, others came forward. Different time zones, different devices, same story, The object was always there. Zoomed-in footage shows a dull metallic sheen. Other clips show a dark triangle rotating slowly in sunlight. Some said it resembled a mantis in shape elongated, with subtle movement. Others compared it to a delta-wing craft, like a stealth drone. But here's the thing. It always followed the ISS at the same relative position. Above, below, to the left, to the right. It adjusted its location as the ISS rotated, as if it was watching, learning, tracking. This wasn't a rock tumbling in space. It wasn't debris caught in gravity. It was flying, and it was deliberate. 7 days, dozens of clips, thousands of witnesses. This wasn't a single fluke. It wasn't one person's fantasy. There are now more than 60 separate recordings compiled by UFO forums and space watcher groups, each one showing the same object, same shape, same trajectory, across 7 consecutive days. Some videos came from screen recordings, others from direct satellite capture, and some from leaked archival footage scraped before NASA's servers were cleaned. Yes, cleaned, because just after the 7th day, the footage disappeared. Files vanished overnight. On July 10th, NASA's publicly available ISS stream archive updated, and suddenly, the 7-day period in question, missing timestamps, key recordings from camera 3 and 5, unavailable due to corruption, multiple third-party mirrors, taken down via copyright claims, but not before dozens of researchers downloaded copies. Some are still floating around in encrypted zip files, passed between journalists, uploaded to decentralized sites, hidden from deletion. The phrase trending across underground forums became chillingly simple. They're deleting the sky. NASA's response: silence. No public comment. No press release. No denial. When asked directly, a spokesperson responded, "The ISS livestream occasionally experiences visual artifacts due to lens exposure, orbital debris, or solar interference." A safe answer. Too safe, because this was not an artifact. It had depth, it had movement, it had intent. The thing adjusted itself. One of the most disturbing observations. The object didn't just follow the ISS passively. It adjusted its orientation. On day 2, it rotated 17 degrees. On day 5, it drifted upward 40 meters over a 6-minute period, then stopped. No tumble, no spin, just a calculated motion, like a drone repositioning its camera. Did the crew see it? That's what people began asking. Surely, someone aboard the ISS noticed it. They look out those windows every day. They monitor external conditions constantly. They rely on robotic cameras for safety and maintenance. So did they say anything? Not publicly, but one leaked radio transmission allegedly recorded on July 6th contains a fragment that shocked investigators. Just outside starboard. Yeah, still there, no transponder. What do you think it is? The transmission was short, cut off, never confirmed, but voice analysis compared it to astronaut Z.R. Kerman, currently on board the ISS. If true, they saw it too, and they didn't know what it was. Why 7 days? Why not 1? Why not forever? Why did the object stay for exactly 7 days, then disappear? Was it a timed surveillance mission? A warning? A test? Some believe it was gathering data. Others say it was trying to communicate testibly, without contact. A few even speculate it stayed just long enough to let us see it, then left on purpose. Like a message. Like a calling card. Patterns in the past. Here's where it gets deeper. This isn't the first time something strange has been recorded near the ISS. 2014, a glowing orb seen rising from Earth's atmosphere. then vanishing near the station. 2016. The infamous blue UFO incident, object seen for 10 seconds before livestream cut. 2019. 3 lights forming a triangle tracked behind the ISS for 4 minutes. Each time, NASA went silent. Each time, live streams interrupted. Is there a pattern here? Are these 7 days just part of a larger cycle, a longer presence? Some believe this was a test. The object stayed visible long enough to get attention, but not long enough to panic the world. A controlled reveal, a soft disclosure, not a crash, not a landing, just an orbit, just a shadow, something subtle enough to let the curious see, and the ignorant forget. If so, the real question: who sent it? Military, alien, future tech. 3 main theories now dominate the conversation. Extraterrestrial observer, a probe from an alien civilization. Silent, intelligent, gathering data. Secret Earth tech, possibly a reverse-engineered craft from a black project, testing its stealth around the ISS. Temporal phenomena, a craft from the future, monitoring the present. Each theory opens more questions. None have answers. If you see it, record it. That's become the motto now. What's the sky? What's the feed? Because no one's going to tell you when it happens again. And maybe, next time, it won't just follow the ISS. Maybe it will stop. Maybe it will come closer. What if it's still there? We can't see everything. The ISS has blind spots. The cameras are only live during specific windows. So, how do we know the object is gone? We don't. What if it's still circling, just out of view, just waiting, watching, listening, learning? What happens next? The world is asking questions, but the answers aren't coming. NASA's lips are sealed. The government says nothing. But the footage lives on. The witnesses remember. And the truth, maybe it's orbiting above us right now. NASA suddenly cuts the feed, accident or intentional. Day 7. The moment everyone was waiting for. The object appeared again. Closer, clearer, more visible than ever before. And then, the screen went black. Just like that. Abrupt silence in the cosmos. Viewers froze. Chat exploded. Did it just disappear? Why is the live stream dead? NASA's official feed gone. No warning. No countdown. No explanation. The black screen stayed. Minutes stretched into hours. Hours into days. A convenient excuse. NASA quickly responded. Technical difficulties. They said, temporary signal loss due to hardware malfunction. Simple, routine, plausible. But was it? To perfect timing. The timing was suspicious. Why now? Why on day 7? Why when the object was most visible? The pattern was clear to many. Every time the object appeared clearly, the feed cut. Was it a coincidence or a cover-up? History repeats itself. This wasn't the first time NASA's feed cut during unusual events. In 2016, a mysterious blue light appeared on the ISS livestream. Seconds later, the feed went dark. In 2019, a cluster of lights formed a triangle, hovering near the station. The feed was interrupted shortly after. Pattern or policy? Is there a secret protocol? Do NASA and other space agencies have orders to cut the feed when anomalies appear? Some whistleblowers suggest this is standard procedure. Others think it's a government directive to hide the truth. What are they hiding? What could be so sensitive that it must be hidden from public eyes? Is it a secret military technology, an alien presence, or something else more disturbing? The silent conspiracy. Online communities erupted. Thousands debated. Many believe this event is part of a global cover-up. A carefully orchestrated silence to avoid panic or reveal secrets too explosive to handle. Questions without answers. If the technical glitch explanation is true, why no follow-up? Why no detailed report? Why no effort to restore or explain the footage? The lack of transparency fuels suspicion. The importance of Day 7. Why 7 days? Some theorize that the object's 7-day appearance was deliberate. A message, a countdown, a warning. The power of social media. The moment the feed cut, clips from earlier in the week went viral. Experts and enthusiasts dissected every frame, every shadow, every movement. Millions watched, debated, and speculated. The role of mainstream media. Curiously, mainstream outlets barely covered the incident. No breaking news, no investigative reports. Was the story too big or too dangerous to report? What would you do if you witnessed something unexplained, then saw the feed cut? Would you question the official explanation? Would you demand answers? Or accept silence? What lies beyond the blackout? The void on the screen left space for imagination. Some claimed to see hidden messages and static. Others suggested the object was trying to communicate before being cut off. Whistleblowers and leaks. Rumors of internal whistleblowers began to surface. Anonymous sources claimed NASA personnel warned about strict orders to limit footage. Leaks hinted at footage being scrubbed from archives. The debate intensifies. Public trust in space agencies wavered. Believers say this proves extraterrestrial contact. Skeptics warn against jumping to conclusions. Could this change everything? If true, what does it mean? Are we being watched? Are we alone? Are space agencies protecting us or hiding us from the truth? The aftermath. Since the feed cut, the object has not been officially reported again. But the mystery remains alive. The videos, the questions, the silence. What happens next? Will NASA ever release the full story? Will the object return? Will the truth finally be revealed? Or will the blackout continue forever? NASA's other blackouts a pattern of silence. Was this the first time NASA's cameras mysteriously went dark? No, far from it. In fact, what happened on Day 7 wasn't an isolated incident. It was just the latest in a long, suspicious history. A pattern. And that pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. Glitches at the perfect moment. NASA's live stream from the ISS has been running for years. Billions of views. Millions of hours. But strangely, the most talked about moments are the ones we never got to see, or rather the ones we almost saw. Case 1. The 2016 flyby incident. It happened on July 9, 2016. A normal day, routine space footage, until something strange entered the frame. A glowing, metallic object. It appeared to move with purpose, not just drift. It shot across the field of view, just as the Earth's curve came into sight. It was fast, controlled, not a flare, not debris. Viewers in the livestream chat began reacting instantly. Wait, what was that? Rewind, something just flew past. Is that a ship? And then, the feed cut, just like that. Black screen. Gone. When the camera returned, the object had vanished. No explanation. No acknowledgement. NASA's official reason. Loss of signal due to repositioning. Repositioning. Or redirection. Case 2. The Three Orbs Formation. March 2, 2014. The ISS external camera caught something breathtaking. Three luminous spheres appeared, slowly ascending from Earth's atmosphere. They held their formation a triangle. They hovered near the ISS for over 22 seconds. Perfect, balanced, silent. And then, one by one, they blinked out. Not faded, not zoomed away. They vanished, The screen froze, then static. When the feed resumed, it had switched to an internal camera. Why? No comment, no press release, no trace. Case 3. The shadow on the horizon. December 2020. Holiday season. Few were watching, but one amateur observer in Poland was recording. As always, what he captured: a massive dark shadow creeping up over the limb of the Earth. Not a cloud, not a shadow cast from the ISS itself. This was something else. It didn't move like a weather pattern. It moved like a structure, angular, deliberate. It blocked starlight, and then for a single second the shape became clear. A hexagonal outline, faint but undeniable. Then the screen flickered and cut. When it came back, clouds, ocean, nothing strange. The footage, gone from NASA's archive, but not before being mirrored. Case 4. The silent rotation. May 5, 2018. ISS camera picked up what looked like a slow-rotating disk hovering above the Earth's terminator line where night meets day. Viewers assumed it was a satellite until it changed direction mid-spin. Satellites don't do that. Then it accelerated. Then it stopped. A few seconds later, the camera feed switched to static. No transition. No buffering. Just gone. NASA's excuse: weather interference. In space. Case 5. The blue flash. October 11, 2021. A burst of blue light ignited the corner of the screen. It didn't flicker. It paused. Rhythmic. Controlled. Some said it looked like a signal. Others compared it to plasma discharge. But plasma doesn't hover or change direction. This one did. It moved in sync with the ISS for 8 seconds. Then veered left. Then blackout. How many times is too many? 1 glitch, understandable. 2 coincidence. But 5, 10. How many technical difficulties are too many before people start asking the real question: what aren't they showing us? The evidence is there if you know where to look. Clips of these incidents still exist, buried on decentralized platforms, mirror servers, encrypted folders. NASA may control the official footage, but they can't erase everything. And every time the feed cuts, the curiosity grows. Controlled disclosure or controlled censorship. Some experts believe NASA is under strict guidelines when it comes to anomalous objects. If something appears that isn't cataloged or recognized, the protocol is simple: cut the feed. This isn't conspiracy, it's protection. They claim it's to avoid mass panic, but others disagree. They say the truth is already known, just not shared. And these blackouts are not protection, they're suppression. Who's pulling the plug? Is it NASA? Is it a shadow agency? Or is it someone else entirely? What if higher powers control what we're allowed to see in space? What if we're just watching what they want us to watch, and the rest stays in the dark? Real-time redaction. Here's the scariest part. Some believe the technology exists to edit live streams in real time. Artificial intelligence can now mask, blur, or replace images on the fly. So, if an object appears, you may not see it, because it's already been digitally erased. What you're watching might not even be real. Is this just the beginning? If these feed cuts are intentional, if they're hiding something, what happens when the objects get closer? When they no longer stay in the background? When they interact? Will NASA cut the feed again? Or will the truth finally be too big to hide? The pattern's clear. Anomaly appears. Livestream reacts. NASA cuts feed. No explanation. Archive altered or missing. Again, and again, and again. Is it time we stop calling it a coincidence? Ask yourself, if these were just camera glitches, Why do they always happen during moments of extreme curiosity? Why not during boring spacewalks? Why not during empty Earth flyovers? Why only when something strange enters the frame? What if one day they forget to cut it? What if something appears so fast, so sudden, so massive, that they don't have time? What happens then? Will the world finally see what's really out there? Will we be ready? Eyewitnesses beyond Earth, former astronauts, speak out. What if someone who had been to space looked you in the eye and said, "We are not alone"? Would you believe them? Or would you still need proof? These aren't conspiracy theorists. They're not YouTubers, not anonymous forum posters, not overexcited bloggers. They are scientists, pilots, astronauts, men and women who have left the Earth, floated in the black void, seen our planet from above, and some of them have seen more than that. There are things they're not telling you. That's what many former NASA insiders now say, in public, on record, with conviction. These are not whispers anymore. They are declarations, and they all lead to the same chilling message. UFOs are real, and they've been here for a long time. Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut who spoke up, he walked on the moon. He was the sixth human to set foot on another world. Edgar D. Mitchell, Apollo 14 lunar module pilot, a decorated Navy officer, a PhD in aeronautics, a man of science. And yet, this is what he said in multiple interviews before his death. "I happen to be privileged enough to be in on the fact that we've been visited on this planet, and the UFO phenomenon is real, although it's been covered up by governments for quite a long time." And more. Yes, there have been crashed craft. Yes, bodies recovered. We are not alone. He wasn't vague. He wasn't joking. He was dead serious. Why would he lie? He had nothing to gain. He was already famous, respected, retired. He never tried to sell books. He didn't seek attention. He simply wanted the truth out, and he wasn't the only one. Gordon Cooper, the final orbit, and the first sight, one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, a legend of the early space program. Gordon Cooper flew faster than sound. He orbited Earth in 1963. He trained to walk on the moon. But his most shocking revelation, it came from the ground. "I saw a UFO with my own eyes in 1951 flying in formation. They were real." And in a 1985 interview, "I believe that these extraterrestrial vehicles and their crews are visiting this planet from other planets." He even testified at the United Nations. They saw it. They knew. Buzz Aldrin once described the light following Apollo 11 during their mission to the moon. Was it the booster, a reflection, or was something else watching them? Years later, Buzz admitted, "We weren't sure what it was. We discussed it, but didn't alert mission control." Why? Because back then, even talking about UFOs could end your career. But times have changed. Why are they speaking now? Because they're no longer under official pressure. They've retired. They've seen enough. And maybe they don't want to die with the truth buried. Many of them hint at non-disclosure agreements, threats, career-ending consequences. But now, they're free to speak. And they are. Leaked testimonies from NASA employees. It's not just the astronauts. Several engineers and NASA contractors have also broken silence. One claims to have seen live footage of a UFO docking briefly with a classified module. Another describes dozens of unidentified objects logged by NORAD but never made public. A former Johnson Space Center technician described anomalous radar returns near these scrubs before reaching public servers. These accounts are often buried, dismissed, ridiculed, but there are too many now to ignore. Too many to be coincidence. How many astronauts need to speak out before we take it seriously? Edgar Mitchell, Gordon Cooper, Buzz Aldrin, Story Musgrave, Dick Slayton. All of them have spoken directly or indirectly about anomalous objects, strange encounters, or suppressed information. This is no longer fringe. This is historical testimony. Is the government afraid? That's the question. Are world governments, specifically the U.S., afraid of the truth? Afraid that revealing contact would trigger panic? Or is it something even more dangerous? What if disclosure could reveal secrets about technology, energy, or control? Secrets that could disrupt the world as we know it. There are bodies. Mitchell wasn't vague when asked directly about alien remains. Yes, that's been well documented. Bodies were recovered from crash sites, not just one. And yet, no confirmation, no mainstream reporting. Why? Why would this kind of truth stay hidden for decades? And why now? Why are more astronauts and officials speaking up now? Because something is changing. The Pentagon has acknowledged UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. They've confirmed videos of crafts defying physics. Whistleblowers like David Grush have testified under oath that the U.S. has retrieved craft of non-human origin and biological material. Suddenly, the tone has shifted. We're no longer asking if UFOs exist. Now we're asking, what else have they been hiding? What if the ISS wasn't the first? The object that followed the ISS, the one seen for 7 days, the one that caused the livestream to cut. What if that wasn't the first time? What if astronauts have been seeing these things for decades? And only now, we're connecting the dots. Imagine you're there. You're floating above the Earth, hundreds of kilometers up, no wind, no sound, only silence. And then, you see something. Not a star, not a reflection, something moving, something watching you. Do you report it? Or do you look away because you were told to? What do they know that we don't? Why would some of the most intelligent, experienced, and calm professionals in history risk their reputations to tell us? They're real. We've seen them. They're here. Could it all be a lie? Or could it be the truth we've ignored for too long? We may not be alone. In fact, we probably never were. And the people who know best, the ones who've touched the stars, are finally telling us. Are we listening? Leaked documents, the CIA, Pentagon, and encounters in orbit. How many times must it happen before we stop calling it a coincidence? Before we admit, this is not random. This is not imagination. This is something else. The government knows. They've known for decades. They tracked them. They studied them. They classified them. And they hid the truth. Until now, the UAP report changed everything. In June 2021, something historic happened. For the first time in modern U.S. history, the Pentagon publicly admitted it didn't know what was flying in its skies. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomena UAP report, 9 pages. But behind those 9 pages, over 140 incidents. Crafts with no wings, no visible propulsion, no known technology that can explain them. And some happened in orbit. They didn't say aliens, but they didn't say not aliens. The report was careful. Words like anomalous, unexplained, unknown. But here's what they didn't say. They didn't say they were drones. They didn't say it was Russia. They didn't say it was China. Because it wasn't. They don't know what it was. And that's terrifying. Encounters near the ISS. Yes. Though unconfirmed officially, several incidents match UAP descriptions. Flashing lights tracking orbital paths. Triangular shadows outside station modules. pulsing objects moving against orbital velocity. The report mentions space-based sensor anomalies. What does that mean? Camera glitches? Or visitors in low Earth orbit? The leaks go deeper. Beyond the UAP report, other documents began surfacing. Some redacted, some leaked, but the patterns are undeniable. CIA archives hidden in plain sight. In 2020, the CIA declassified thousands of pages of UFO-related files. Most were dry, heavily censored, but some stood out. A 1985 memo described a structured craft observed beyond Earth's atmosphere by a KH-11 reconnaissance satellite. Another mentioned fast-moving orbital anomalies interfering with telemetry. These weren't blips. These were intelligent patterns, movements that suggested control, intention, awareness. Pentagon contractors speak out. Defense contractors working under black budget projects have hinted at more. One engineer, protected under anonymity, said, "Some objects flew near our satellites. We weren't tracking them. They were tracking us." He also claimed one object performed a 90-degree turn at orbital speed. That's physically impossible by today's understanding. Secret programs. You've heard the names before. Project Blue Book, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program AETIP, AWSAP, Office of the Director of National Intelligence UAP Task Force. Each one claimed to be exploratory. Each one buried after funding dried up. But insiders say they were more than research. They were about containment, control, silence. The numbers don't lie. According to the UAP report, 143 cases remain unexplained. 80 were captured on multiple sensors: infrared, radar, visual. Some showed advanced acceleration with no heat signature. These aren't weather balloons. They aren't camera flares. They're real objects, doing things that should be impossible. Satellites are seeing them too. Not just military pilots, not just astronauts. Satellites are recording them. Private space companies like SpaceX, Starlink, and Planet Labs have quietly logged unexplained phenomena. Most won't talk. The clauses, government pressure, or fear, but a few insiders have hinted. One anonymous astrophysicist admitted, "Sometimes we get light reflections or thermal patterns that don't match any known object in orbit. They just appear and disappear." Were they watching the ISS? It's not just speculation anymore. At least 3 incidents in the UAP report occurred within ISS orbital range. One of them showed a rapidly ascending light source passing within 400 kilometers of the station. Was it a satellite, a meteor, or something else? The official label, inconclusive, but those who saw the unredacted footage say it wasn't natural, and it wasn't man-made. What is the government not saying? Here's what we know. The US government acknowledges UAPs exist. They admit they don't know what they are. They've observed them near military aircraft, strategic sites, and space assets. But here's what they won't say: where they're from, what they want, how long they've been here, and the most disturbing possibility: they do know, and they're not telling us. What if those 140-plus encounters are just the tip of the iceberg? What if the true number is in the thousands? And what if the most shocking encounters aren't in the reports at all, because they're too big, too real, too dangerous to disclose? Control leak or soft disclosure? Some theorists believe the UAP report is part of a strategy, a drip feed of truth, revealed just enough to prepare the public, but not enough to trigger panic. We hear UAP, not aliens. We hear unknown technology, not extraterrestrial intelligence. Is it intentional? Is the world being slowly conditioned for a bigger reveal? The ISS incident fits the pattern. Let's review. A strange object appears near the ISS. It stays visible for 7 days. The livestream cuts when it comes closest. NASA claims a glitch. No one addresses it again. But now, we have context. From astronauts, from documents, from data. It fits the pattern. And that pattern points to one conclusion. Someone or something is watching. If they're in our skies and in our orbit, then we're not dealing with isolated incidents. We're dealing with a presence that's intelligent, coordinated, advanced beyond anything we can understand. And most terrifying of all, it's operating without permission. Ask yourself this: if the CIA and Pentagon are tracking these things, and if they don't know how to stop them, who's really in control? Theory 1: UFOs monitoring humanity from orbit. What if we're being watched right now? Not from the ground, not from some distant star, but from just above our heads. Orbit, the zone where satellites spin silently, where the ISS floats, where strange objects have been spotted. Is it surveillance or something else? Some theorists say the UFO isn't just visiting, it's observing, watching, monitoring, like a cosmic spy camera. Why orbit? Because orbit is the perfect vantage point, close enough to see every continent, every city, every movement, every rocket launch. It's the ideal place to study a species without interference. Are aliens using Earth's orbit as their research lab? Imagine it, a fleet of silent watchers, hidden in the blackness, tracking Earth's technology, tracking us, watching our satellites, tracking our communications, observing our space missions, gathering data on human behavior. Why watch us? Because humans are growing fast. Our technology is advancing. Our reach into space is expanding. If there's an alien race out there, why wouldn't they be curious? Why wouldn't they want to understand us? The object near the ISS, a monitoring device. The 7-day UFO sighting near the ISS fits this theory perfectly. A sentinel, an observer. Its slow, deliberate movements suggest study, not attack. It didn't rush away. It didn't hide. It stayed. Close. Constant. What are they learning? Our space tech, our communication patterns, our social behavior. The possibilities are endless. But why reveal it now? If these objects have been here for decades, why get so close, so visible? Maybe it's a test, a way to prepare us, to warn us. Or are they signaling? Could the repeated appearances be messages? A code, a way to say, we're here, we see you. The global implications. If true, what does it mean for Earth's sovereignty? Who controls space? Who owns the skies? And if we're being watched, are we also being controlled? What would you do if you knew you were under constant observation? Would you change your behavior? Would you try to communicate back? Or would you hide? The biggest question: if UFOs are watching us, who's watching them? Is there a cosmic balance of power? Or are we simply the watched waiting for what comes next? Theory 2: is it secret human technology? What if it wasn't alien? What if it was us? That object, the one tracking the ISS for 7 days, the one that hovered in silence, the one that made NASA cut the feed. What if it came not from the stars, but from a classified lab on Earth? Military technology. Some believe the object was not extraterrestrial. It was terrestrial, human, military, a prototype, a spy satellite, a next-gen spacecraft, built in secret, tested in silence. Black ops in orbit. The US has dozens of satellites. So does Russia. So does China. But some aren't listed in public databases. They don't have names. They don't have launch records. They exist only in shadows. They belong to black projects, top secret missions funded without public oversight, and known even to most within the government. Could the object be one of these? A classified drone, a stealth space plane, a next-gen surveillance platform. Imagine a machine so advanced, it mimics orbital velocity, moves without visible thrust, evades radar, observes without being observed. That's what some believe, and it's not impossible. The X-37 be a real-life space mystery. Consider this. The U.S. Air Force operates a real, unmanned space plane, the X-37B. It's small, it's autonomous, and its missions, highly classified. In 2020, it stayed in orbit for over 780 days. No one knows exactly what it did, where it went, or what it observed. Could the object near the ISS be a more advanced version? Something the public doesn't know exists yet. Russia's Object 2014-280. In 2014, something strange happened. Russia launched a satellite. Then another object detached from it. A small, fast, maneuverable craft. Western analysts were confused. Was it a weapon, a spy satellite, or something more exotic? It didn't match any known technology. Some feared it was an anti-satellite weapon. Others whispered, orbital interceptor, a hunter in the void. Could the ISS object be a spy? One theory suggests the object was there too. Monitor communications, scan ISS experiments, test cloaking or stealth tech, or even intercept signals sent back to Earth. A ghost in orbit, invisible, until it wanted to be seen. But why hover so long? Why follow the ISS for 7 days? Why not a quick pass? Why make itself visible at all? That's where the theory stumbles. Military tech doesn't expose itself unless necessary, especially not near a high-profile public live stream. Unless it wasn't a mistake, it was a message, a show of power. Some suggest it was a warning, a signal to rivals, a test of presence, a way of saying, we're already out here, and we're watching everything. If true, it means the object is ours. The tech is far ahead of what's been disclosed, and we're playing a very dangerous game in orbit. The secret space program theory. Some theorists go even deeper. They believe in a breakaway space program, one hidden from governments, controlled by elites, funded by black budgets, operating from secret launch facilities, using recovered alien tech, merging it with human innovation. It sounds crazy until you realize trillions go missing from government budgets. Entire facilities exist with zero public documentation. And whistleblowers keep saying the same things. That there's a second space race, and it's already won. Could they be testing on the ISS? Here's a theory few dare to ask. What if NASA knows? What if the ISS is part of the experiment? A live platform to observe reactions, to test proximity behavior, to measure electromagnetic impact. What if the astronauts weren't surprised? What if they were told not to speak? Silence is the new normal. No press conference, no official photos, no comment, just a feed cut, a shrug, and a technical excuse. Because sometimes the biggest secrets are hidden in plain silence. Are we already in a secret space war? Another terrifying theory. These objects, whether human or not, are part of an ongoing orbital conflict. A war not on Earth, but above it. Electronic interference, surveillance, cyber warfare via satellite. The real battlefield isn't land, it's space. So, alien or human? Here's the question. Which is scarier, an alien object hovering above the Earth, or a human-made object no one's supposed to know exists? An object with unthinkable speed, impossible agility, silent movement, zero heat signature, total invisibility until it chooses otherwise. If we've built that, what else are we hiding? And who's in control of it? If it's ours, why hide it? Because technology like that changes military dominance, redefines physics, challenges global stability. Whoever controls it controls the future, and the rest of the world doesn't need to know. Ask yourself, if you were part of a black project, if you had access to unimaginable tech, would you show it to the world, or keep it hidden until the day you need to use it? Theory 3. Did the ISS encounter alien intelligence? What if the truth was never lost, just deleted? What if the ISS didn't just see something unusual, but made contact? And what if that contact was erased, not forgotten, not denied, erased? The most radical theory yet. We've heard the others. It was a malfunction. It was a human-made craft. It was surveillance. But now, some theorists are taking it one step further. They believe the object near the ISS was not just a machine. It was intelligent, sentient, aware, watching but also responding. The forbidden claim, communication. This is where it gets controversial. Some claim the ISS didn't just observe the object. They interacted with it, through movement, through energy signatures, even through electromagnetic signals. Some researchers suggest there was a brief moment when the object changed trajectory in response to human input. Signals in the dark. Whistleblowers point to radio anomalies, high-frequency bursts, repeating patterns, pulses not consistent with any known satellite. In one case, a NASA audio feed was disrupted for 47 seconds, static, then silence, then a strange, harmonic tone. The stream returned, but that segment, gone from the archive, deleted or hidden. Some independent archivists saved copies, but when they attempted to upload them, copyright claims, content removals, IP bans, almost like someone was watching and didn't want anyone else to watch. A pattern of silence. This isn't the first time. In 2014, an object approached the ISS during a live stream. Astronauts were visible on screen. One pointed. The feed cut. The official explanation. Technical glitch. Same as always, but off record. Some claim direct interaction occurred. Alleged insider testimony. A former contractor who worked on mission support claims there was a protocol for unknown contact, a level 5 communication blackout. Another said, when a foreign object comes too close, astronauts aren't allowed to speak publicly, not even afterward. What is level 5? According to leaked documents never confirmed, level 5 refers to encounters with non-terrestrial intelligence, electromagnetic or visual contact with unknown life forms, events requiring full protocol lockdown and document destruction. That means no public record, no internal archive, no paper trail, just silence. Were ISS astronauts trained for contact? Some theorists suggest they are, privately, off the record, a hidden part of astronaut training. What to say, what not to say, what button to press if it shows up. Strange crew behavior. UFO researchers have analyzed hours of astronaut footage. What they found was subtle, nervous glances, unexplained pauses, moments of stunned silence, sudden redirection of conversation. One moment stood out. An astronaut muttered off mic, "It's back," then looked directly at the camera. The stream was cut within 3 seconds. Coincidence? What if this wasn't the first contact? What if this wasn't even the 10th? What if the ISS has been in silent contact for years with something or someone that drifts near Earth every so often, not to attack, not to help, just to observe, to understand, maybe even to introduce itself? Why keep it secret? Because the implications are massive. If the ISS made contact with alien intelligence, then religion would be challenged, governments would be exposed, power structures would shift, people would panic. Imagine waking up to a headline that reads, NASA confirms intelligent life contacted ISS. Would the world be ready? Would you? What if it was biological? Some even believe the object wasn't mechanical, that it was organic, or perhaps a blend, a living ship, a biointelligence, an alien entity that exists in space, not on a planet, a being evolved to live in zero gravity, feeding on solar energy, traveling silently between systems. And we just saw it, outside our space station. No cameras, no proof. Why? Because they removed it. That's what multiple sources claim. All footage of the alleged encounter gone, wiped, or never released. Even mission logs from those days were incomplete, and astronaut statements. Silence, not denial, just silence. NASA's Protocol Black. Rumors suggest there's a hidden tier of emergency operations, known as Protocol Black, used only when anomalous life is detected, physical or energy-based contact occurs. Human mental health may be affected. It's never been confirmed, but insiders say Protocol Black was activated during the ISS event. So, what really happened? Did the ISS witness an alien probe, interact with a living craft, communicate with an intelligence beyond Earth? Or was it all a misunderstanding, a glitch, a shadow misread? The truth is buried under layers of secrecy. But the question remains, why cut the feed if there was nothing to hide? Final thought, what if we missed our first true moment of contact? Not because it didn't happen, but because someone made sure the world would never know. Not now, not yet. Viewer reactions, chills, or curiosity. You're watching the live stream. The Earth glowing beneath, the ISS drifting silently above it. Then, something moves. Not a satellite, not a shadow, not ice or debris. It hovers. It shifts. It watches back. And then, the screen goes black. Just like that. Cut. Silence. Gone. What would you feel? Fear, wonder, anger, goosebumps racing up your arms, or a chill down your spine telling you weren't supposed to see that. The most human response, doubt. You blink, you rewind. Did you imagine it? Was it a glitch? Or was it real? You go online. Others saw it too. Comments flood in. Did anyone else just see that? Why did NASA cut the feed? That wasn't space junk. And then, some of those posts disappear. Accounts get shadow banned. Clips are taken down. That's when your doubt turns into something else. Suspicion. This isn't the first time. You dig deeper, and you realize it's happened before, and again, and again. Every time a strange object gets too close, the feed cuts, the story vanishes, and the internet gets quiet. Too quiet. Why is that so chilling? Because it tells you something without saying it. There's a truth someone doesn't want you to know. And when people hide the truth, it usually means it's big. Fear comes from the unknown. Let's be honest, it's not just about a flying object. It's about what it could mean. That we're not alone. That we're being watched. That something is closer than we ever imagined. And worse, that your own space agencies might know. But I'm telling you, that's where the real fear lies. Not in the object, but in the silence around it. Curiosity is a powerful drug. Still not everyone feels fear. Some feel a spark, a jolt, something ancient in your brain. The same part that asked what fire was. You want to know more. You need to. Was it a ship? A drone? An alien intelligence? Was it warning us? Or simply observing? The unknown becomes addictive. And the cut feed, it makes you want it even more. Because now, it's forbidden. Now, it's hidden. And human curiosity was never meant to stop at locked doors. Emotional aftershocks. Across forums, social media, and encrypted chat rooms. Viewers describe what they felt. My heart stopped. I got chills all over. I've never been more sure aliens are real. Why doesn't NASA say anything? This changes everything. Some people cry. Some laugh nervously. Some stare at their screen long after it's gone black. It's not just a live stream anymore. It's a moment you can't unsee. Collective paranoia. Then something strange happens. People start connecting dots. Why does this always happen near the ISS? Why does the timing match solar flares or rocket launches? Why are the cameras cut only during UFO moments? Why does NASA always say technical difficulties? And suddenly, it's not a live stream glitch anymore. It's a cover-up. You feel betrayed. You trusted the broadcast. You believed in the science, in the agency, in the feed. Now, you're not sure who to believe. One frame away from the truth. Some say the object was visible for only 3 seconds. Others say 6. But that was enough. Enough to spark thousands of screenshots, video downloads, frame-by-frame breakdowns. And in those few frames, something impossible, something that shouldn't be there. We are all witnesses now. It wasn't just you. Hundreds watched it live. Thousands saw the clips. And they remember. You can delete files. You can cut feeds. But you can't erase memory or emotion. And when enough people remember, it becomes truth. If it's that important to hide, what does that say? What kind of discovery makes the world's top space agency panic? What kind of truth can't be spoken? And who gave the order to cut the feed? Questions that burn. The moment sticks with you. Even days later, it haunts your mind. Was it alive? Was it watching us? Did it try to communicate? Was it trying to show itself? Or was it a mistake? Something unplanned, unwanted, a breach in the silence? Are we being protected? Some think NASA is protecting us, that the public isn't ready, that panic would spread, that nations would crumble. Maybe that's true, but who gets to decide what you can see, what you're allowed to know? Or are we being deceived? Others think it's more sinister, that the cover-up isn't about protection, it's about control, that if we knew the truth, the people in power would lose their grip, because the moment we learn we're not alone, the old systems start to fall apart. The feeling you can't shake, whatever it was, it made your heart race, it made your palms sweat, and it made one thing clear. You just saw something real. Final thought. So, you ask yourself, if this wasn't important, why did they go so far to hide it? And if it was important, what are they really protecting us from? Or worse, who, if it's true, is the world ready to know? Would you want to know if something, or someone, was watching us from beyond the stars? Would you want the truth, even if it shattered everything? The truth isn't always comforting. People say they want honesty. They say they can handle it. But when the truth is too big, too strange, too terrifying, the human mind protects itself. It calls it fiction. It turns away. It forgets. What if we're not alone? Not in theory, not in a distant galaxy, but here, now, right above us, around us, inside our orbit, following our satellites, listening to our signals. Would you want to know? What would it change? Religion, governments, science, everything we thought we knew, everything we believed in, would be rewritten from scratch. The greatest psychological shock in human history. Dr. Carl Jung once said, UFOs may represent the biggest psychological event of our time. Imagine waking up tomorrow and hearing the news. We are not alone. Not just life, not just bacteria on Mars, but intelligence, consciousness, awareness, maybe even older than humanity itself. The world's reaction, unity or chaos. Would we unite, drop our borders, come together as one planet? Or would we panic? Would markets crash? Would fear take over? Would violence erupt out of uncertainty? The truth could awaken us or destroy us. Governments know this. That's why some say disclosure is slow, control, carefully timed, piece by piece, drip by drip, so society doesn't collapse. But what if it's already too late? What if they're already here? What if they've always been here, watching, waiting, making contact not with governments, but with individuals, with witnesses, with pilots, with people like you? Would you believe it if someone told you, I saw something above the ISS? It wasn't human. It responded to us. Would you laugh? Would you dismiss it? Or would you wonder, deep down, what if it's real? The fear of knowing. The fear isn't always about aliens. It's about what they mean. If they exist, then we are not the top of the chain. We are not the first. We are not in control. That terrifies us, because we've built a world based on certainty, and the stars don't follow our rules. The fear of losing control. Governments want stability. Religions want order. Scientists want evidence. But what if this isn't measurable? What if it isn't explainable? What if it breaks the system? That's why the truth is buried. You have to ask yourself, if you were in charge, would you reveal it? Would you risk global panic, mass hysteria, spiritual collapse? Or would you hide it for the greater good? What is the greater good? Is it keeping people safe or keeping them asleep? Because every time we get close to the truth, the signal drops, the camera cuts, the records vanish, and the silence continues. A whisper across the world. But truth has a way of leaking. And now millions are asking, are we being watched? Have we already made contact? Has the ISS seen more than we're told? Why are they hiding it from us? The questions grow louder, and answers grow thinner. A truth that transcends borders. In every country, people are looking up at the same stars, with the same questions, in silence, in fear, in wonder. The next step, what happens next? A full disclosure, a massive leak, another accidental live stream, or worse, a global incident that forces the truth out, not in peace, but in panic. Are we ready for that? It all comes back to you. If the feed showed it again tomorrow, would you want to see it? Would you want to know? Even if it changed your life, even if it changed everything, because one day, we may not have a choice. The truth may no longer be hidden, and when that day comes, when the skies light up, when the impossible becomes undeniable, you'll remember this moment, the silence, the questions, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, you knew all along. NASA's behavior, accident or design. How many times does a coincidence have to repeat before it becomes a pattern? And how many patterns must we see Before we start asking who's pulling the strings, the same story again and again. A UFO appears. The object hovers. The camera twitches. Then, blackout. Every time. Too perfect. Too precise. Too predictable. Is this just bad luck? Or is it a carefully rehearsed dance? When the truth becomes inconvenient, NASA says, it was a technical issue. Again, and again, and again. But they never explain why the issue only happens during UFO sightings, never during routine transmissions, never during spacewalks, never when nothing is out of place, just when the unexplainable shows up. Coincidence or choreography, a script written long ago, followed line by line, scene by scene, the deliberate silence. NASA doesn't deny what people saw. They don't admit it either. They just don't talk about it. No statements, no briefings, no replays, just technical errors, and a lot of silence. Silence is powerful. Sometimes what you don't say screams louder than words, especially when millions are watching, especially when the evidence is spreading, especially when curiosity turns to suspicion. Are the feed cuts an emergency protocol? Former insiders have hinted at something chilling, an automatic kill switch. When an unknown object enters a certain range, the live stream ends, the audio drops, the logs freeze, not manually, automatically. Some call it protocol eclipse. Others say it's built into NASA's software, designed not to protect astronauts, but to protect the narrative, a pattern across time. It didn't just happen in 2024, or 2020, or 2016. There's a trail of cut feeds dating back decades, from the shuttle missions, to Apollo flights, to today's ISS broadcasts. Always the same: unexplained object, reaction, camera freeze, technical issue. How long can this go unquestioned? Is NASA alone in this? Many believe they're not. That NASA is just the face, just the front. That behind the scenes are defense contractors, intelligence agencies, black budget committees, aerospace corporations, all with one mission. At all costs. Why would they hide it? Because disclosure has consequences. Massive ones. Economic disruption, religious upheaval, social chaos, scientific embarrassment, and maybe the truth is already weaponized. Whoever controls it controls fear, controls belief, controls the future. But could it all be real? Let's entertain the possibility that these sightings are extraterrestrial, that the ISS has seen intelligent craft, that the feeds were cut because contact was too close. Then NASA isn't just lying, it's protecting us, or protecting itself, or protecting something bigger. But then why no explanation? Why no transparency? Why no investigation? No debrief, no inquiry from Congress, no scientific papers. You'd think at least one astronaut would say something, but they don't. Controlled messaging. NASA has a strict media protocol. Astronauts are trained on what to say and what not to say. Before every public broadcast, they're briefed. Some whistleblowers claim they sign lifetime NDA letters, not just for national security, but for non-human encounters. Is that normal? Or is it evidence? Public trust is cracking. More and more people are asking the same question. Why does NASA always look the other way? In forums, on TikTok, on Reddit, on late-night talk shows. The doubt is spreading. The internet never forgets. Even if NASA deletes a video, someone saved it. Even if the feed cuts, someone screen recorded it. Even if the official statement says nothing happened. Too many people know otherwise. The truth is leaking. not in explosions, but in fragments. And every fragment leads back to one question. Did NASA cut the feed on purpose? Psychological manipulation. Some believe the inconsistency is part of the game, that letting some objects be seen while hiding others creates confusion, noise, disbelief. So even when people do see something, they doubt their own eyes. That's not defense, that's control. Is NASA a puppet? If true, the agency we trust to explore the stars may be acting under orders, not from scientists, but from military strategists, or intelligence committees, or global alliances we don't even know exist. Because space is no longer about discovery, it's about dominance. What happens when people stop believing in NASA, in the government, in the data? What replaces that trust? Conspiracy, paranoia, or a desperate search for answers? This is already happening. People are building their own satellites, launching their own high-altitude balloons, forming private watch groups to monitor the skies. Because when institutions stay silent, the people start looking up. The final questions. What if the feed cuts are not mistakes? What if they're triggers, responses to protocols written long ago? What if NASA's silence isn't fear, but obedience? And most of all, if they're hiding what's up there, what else are they hiding down here? The final question, is the truth hidden in plain sight? We saw something, but maybe the real story isn't about what we saw. It's about what we weren't supposed to see, what they tried to erase, what they never explained, what vanished into silence. What was it? A drone? A ship? A life form? No one knows. No one has confirmed. And yet, everyone remembers. The hovering shape, the strange movement, the timing, too perfect to be coincidence, too mysterious to ignore. It followed the ISS 4 days. It moved with purpose, pacing the space station, matching its orbit, watching. What kind of intelligence could do that? Why didn't it leave? Or, more importantly, why didn't anyone stop it? Was it sending a message? Maybe it wasn't threatening. Maybe it wasn't hostile. Maybe it just wanted to be seen. But instead of answers, we got silence. A feed cut at the worst moment. Millions watched. The object grew closer. And then, black. The screen died. The livestream stopped. NASA blamed a technical issue. But is it still a glitch when it happens over and over again? Or is that the story they tell to keep us calm? We're not talking about lights in the sky anymore. This isn't a blurry photo from a small town. This isn't a hoax in the desert. This happened in orbit, on live camera, above our planet, in front of the entire world. And still, no answers. Maybe the truth isn't out there. Maybe it's right in front of us. And we've been trained to look the other way. So many questions, no real answers. What was the object? Why was it near the ISS? What triggered the live stream cut? Why won't NASA talk about it? What are they trying to protect us from? Or what are they trying to protect themselves from? Could it have been contact? Not direct, not obvious, but something. A presence, a signal, a silent observation. And maybe that was enough to change everything. Is disclosure already happening? Not in a press conference, not on breaking news, but in tiny cracks, in moments like this, in every unexplained video, every strange transmission, every coincidental blackout. The truth isn't coming with thunder. It's leaking. Not everyone believes. That's okay. Doubt is natural. But denial, that's a choice. And at some point, even the biggest skeptic has to wonder, how many glitches does it take to become a cover-up? What if we've already missed something? What if this wasn't the first contact? What if the real moment passed years ago, silently, quickly, covered up before anyone could scream? And now, we're just catching up. The pattern's clear. A sighting, a signal, a reaction. Then, silence. Each time the same. Each time ignored. But not by everyone. The world is watching now. More eyes, more cameras, more independent researchers. NASA isn't the only one with a lens into space anymore. They can cut their feed, but they can't cut ours. The truth might be simpler than we think. They're watching, not to harm, not to save, just to observe, to see how far we go, how close we come, how ready we really are. And maybe they're waiting for us to ask the right question. Not what are you, but are we ready for the answer? Maybe that's why they've stayed silent, because we're not ready, because the truth would destroy more than it reveals. Because if we saw what's really out there, we might never look at Earth the same again. Final thought. So we end where we began, with a question, not a conclusion. What was that object? Why was it following the ISS? Why did the feed cut the moment it appeared? And most haunting of all, what else is being hidden from us, just beyond the edge of the screen? You saw it. They saw it. We all saw it. And maybe that was the point.